Welcome to the Bleep Bulimia podcast with guest David Medansky, Overweight's person best friend. Hi everyone, I am Lorianne. I am the host of Bleep Bulimia, and today I'm so pleased to have David Medansky. He is an Overweight's person best friend, and I love that. Thank you very much. Can you please tell me, how did you come up with becoming the Overweight's person's best friend?
Sure. In July of 2016, my doctor told me, based on being significantly overweight and my lab results, I had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack. So he gave me two options: lose weight, or find a new doctor, because he didn't want me dying on his watch. And what he told me was he didn't believe I was going to lose the weight, because he'd been asking me for 8 years to do something and I hadn't done it. However, the light bulb went off. And so during the next 4 months, I shed 50 pounds, 25% of my total body weight, and I've kept it off since then. And I learned how to improve and modify my eating behaviors so that I could enjoy life and be healthy and not feel like I'm foregoing or sacrificing anything.
Now, that's really interesting that they're also, in a sense, anti-diet. So I would like to know more about that, because as we were talking before coming on board, one of the things that starts bulimia quite often is somebody dieting to the point where they're out of control, and then they find bulimia to go there. And I would like our listeners to hear about other solutions that are not about dieting.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons I wrote this book. It just came out. It's called Break the Chains of Dieting, because diets are designed to fail. Their average person will go on 126 diets during their lifetime. Americans will spend $73 billion each year on diets. So if someone failed to lose weight on a diet, or was unable to keep the weight off while on a diet, they're not to blame. The diet is to blame. They're designed to fail. The weight loss industry is a profit machine. At any one time, there's 145 million Americans on a diet, and 45 million Americans will start a new diet each year. So if diets worked, we wouldn't be getting fatter, because 73% of the US adult population is overweight, of which 42% is clinically obese. And we wouldn't be spending all this money on special meals, products, supplements, and gym memberships.
And we wouldn't be moving towards eating disorders, which are rising as well, such as bulimia.
Exactly.
Because it's a failure of a diet. However, from there, it becomes more of what you think you're controlling controls you in the end. And diets are similar to that, because I would imagine, David, that the failure aspect of it will cause people to just move from one to the other to the other. And that constant failure feeling must be really difficult.
Well, it is. And then people get frustrated. And it's like, well, if diets don't work, why should I even bother? What I tell people is, don't go on a diet to reduce weight, change your diet.
Yes.
And when you change your eating habits and lifestyle, then you'll get positive, results. It's a myth out there that, you have to go on a diet to lose weight, or you have to go to the gym and exercise. In fact, 100% of what you put into your body controls your weight. Exercise is important for overall fitness and health. However, Biggest Loser contestants, 66% of them regained all their weight, some even more. And not everybody has that much time to go to the gym and exercise. You can do a lot of things just, walking around the block, or, doing things in your house, push-ups and squats and little things that you can do without having to travel to a gym to work out. Not only that, what happens is when you exercise more, you replace the fat with muscle. Muscle and fat weigh exactly the same. 5 pounds is 5 pounds. However, muscle takes up a lot less room than fat. So what happens is, when people are exercising to lose weight, they'll go 3 or 4 weeks and they won't notice the scale changing. And that's because the muscle is replacing the fat and weighs the same. However, their clothes will get looser and people start noticing it. People get frustrated. They want immediate results. They see the national brands, lose 16, 20, 30 pounds guaranteed the first month. That's all well and good. However, it's not healthy to lose that much weight that quickly, and it's not sustainable. So what I ask people is, would you like to weigh 24, 30, 40 pounds lighter by this time next year? And most people say, yeah, if they need to lose the weight. If you think of it this way, can you lose 2, 3, 4 pounds each month? Not a week, each month. Most people say, oh yeah, that's doable. Well, if you do that on average consistently for 12 consecutive months, in a year, you're 24 to 48 pounds lighter. So that's the thought process. Instead of looking for the immediate, gratification, just trust the process. It's like a butterfly. Caterpillar goes through the process of metamorphosis, takes time, doesn't happen overnight. The other thing is you didn't gain your weight all overnight. So what makes you think you can lose it all overnight?
That's very, very true. Now, I'm interested in the process that you deal with. So just quickly, when I gave up my bulimia, I decided I wasn't going to diet anymore. My biggest thing was, stop when you're full. And I like to eat healthy, but if I want a pizza, I will get a pizza, but I know that I'm not going to eat the whole pizza anymore. Part of that was having to deal with emotional stuff. I would imagine that you also have with the people that you help out. There are emotional attachments to food. I don't know if you had them, but if you want to speak a little bit to that, because that's quite often a big thing.
Absolutely. I was a chocoholic. I would go through a pound bag of M&Ms and still want more. I would go through a half gallon of Breyer's mint chocolate chip ice cream and still want more. I go through a canister of Pringles potato chips and still want more. What I learned in doing research for the book is there's something known as the bliss point. And that's a term coined by Howard Moskowitz. He worked in the food industry for 30 years. And what they do is they scientifically engineer our foods. I call it edible products because it's not really food, to optimize our cravings for fat, salt, sugar, and texture. So when they say, bet you can't eat just one, it's not a dare, it's a fact. It's also known, based on research, Oreo cookies are more addicting than cocaine. So imagine that. The other thing is, a lot of people eat because of stress or convenience. Now, I like to eat because of finger foods. That's why the M&Ms were so great. What I replaced it with was cherries, because number one, you have to eat them slow because of the pits. And number two, it's low glycemic. So you can eat a lot of them and not get that sugar spike. Plus, they have a lot of great nutritional benefits that M&Ms don't. Blueberries are great. Raw nuts are great. Some people are allergic to nuts. That's why, blueberries, cherries are substitutes for it. Nowadays, instead of stress, I say convenience is the biggest factor for overeating. It's more convenient to get a frozen meal and microwave it. It's more convenient to order a pizza, have it delivered, pick up a bucket of chicken, go through the drive-through. People don't want to go to the grocery stores anymore to even shop. They have food delivered to their homes. And what's interesting is in the 1990s, the average grocery store had 15,000 products on their shelf. Today, it's over 50,000. Now, I don't know about you, Lorianne. I haven't heard about that many new fruits, vegetables, berries, or nuts being discovered in that time period. And what it is, it's the different varieties of the chips, the pretzels, the sodas. And then people drink more soda and diet soda than they do water. Water is the most important thing you put in your body because we're 60 to 70% water. Yet 75% of the US population is chronically dehydrated. And there's a correlation to being overweight because 73% of the US adult population is overweight. What happens is when people are thirsty, they think they're hungry. So they eat more instead of drink more. And when you drink more water, not soda or diet soda or fruit juices or orange juice, you become fuller and helps your digestive system in processing the food. The other thing is our food has been supersized. The portions have been supersized without us realizing it. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Today, it's 12 inches. Yet in Europe, it's still 9 inches. And if you go to a restaurant, it's 13 to 15 inches per serving. So what I tell people is to go out to a restaurant, get a to-go box right away, cut your portion in half, put half to go. So you're eating less, which is better for you. And you're getting 2 meals for the price of one, so you're saving money. The other thing is, you were talking about, you know, the eating, as far as, stress and everything. So there's things that people can do as, releasing the stress. Go for a walk, call a friend, read a couple of paragraphs in a book, say some declarations or affirmations, get up and just, move around a little bit. Just simple things to, take your mind off of whatever's bothering you.
That's really interesting. Actually, it was interesting what you were saying too, that your doctor, very interesting that he said, please lose weight. Or unfortunately, my sister-in-law has passed away, but she was about 400, probably 450 pounds. And he did say it's lose weight or die. And he was pretty clear on it to her. So she did. She lost the weight. It wasn't easy though, and she had to go through these different. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with them, but it helped her, was where she had her stomach stapled.
Yeah, the gastrointestinal
Yeah,
bypass. And
yeah.
I don't like that because
No.
it's a success rate is 66% of the people that do it that way regain the weight, and some even more. And
Yeah.
again, when you do it that way, you're limiting what you're allowed to eat.
Yeah.
And I'm like you, Lori, I'm not a food purist. I enjoy pizza. I enjoy a slice of pie or cake. However, instead of eating a full pizza like I used to, I'll take a couple slices and eat slower. Instead of eating, a big piece of cake, I'll have a sliver of pie. Uh, when my wife and I go to cheesecake, once in a while I'll get a piece of the chocolate cake. And what I used to eat in one sitting will now last me 4 or 5 nights. So I'm not telling people to deny what they enjoy. Now, certain things I do make a rule and I adamant. I won't drink a soda or diet soda. I won't touch M&Ms. I won't touch Hershey bars or Snickers or Pringles. Again, I know I'm addicted to them, and if I start, I won't stop. So I look at it as if being an alcoholic. Not supposed to have a drink. Just little things like that.
That's interesting. I used to be addicted to chocolate when I was younger, and now I'm not. So over time, you probably will be able to have those Snickers and stuff, because honest to goodness, I could have the Snickers and the sweetness because I was away, and I took my time off of it. Now I buy the little ones, like they have, like Halloween has them often, but you can find the little versions of them. Like O. Henry's a big one for me, and Kit Kat. And I'll buy one of those, but I'll even quite often only even eat half of one of those because the craving was there. I tried, and I'm going, you know what? It was a thought of a craving, but I really didn't eat, like I didn't really have the craving. I think it was sometimes the thought of what you want.
What I've learned from dealing with clients, a lot of times it's the routine, the habit of eating a certain way or eating certain things at a certain time.
Yes.
And they'll be eating something without realizing why they're eating. When they focus on it, it's like, well, why am I doing this? And then when they change the routine, they break the habit. And it's like, well, I don't really want that anymore. And that's what I attempt to get across to people is change your routines. It takes 66 days on average to create a new habit. It's not 30 or 21 days. Research has shown 66 days, and that's on average. So I tell people you got to give yourself time and not beat yourself up. One of the stories in the book is about flying an airplane from Los Angeles to New York or vice versa. If you're off 1 degree, you can be off 150 miles. However, most pilots put the plane on autopilot, and the autopilot is correcting about 90% of the time. So what I tell people on your weight loss journey, keep correcting. You're not going to be perfect. No one is. And when you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up, to start over the next day. what happens is people will say, well, I indulged this day, I blew it, I'll give up. And that's the wrong attitude. So again, it happens. Just get back on and keep correcting that course. And eventually you'll get back to a point where you'll have a great, routine for your eating behaviors and your lifestyle. You'll have more energy, you'll feel better, you'll look better, and you'll improve your overall health. And after all, isn't that what everybody would like? More energy, feel better, look better, and improve their overall health?
Absolutely. And I would imagine that you maintain a relationship with your clients once they have reached, let's say, where they want to be. So everybody's different. I mean, like I said, I actually gained a little bit of weight after I gave up my bulimia, and I like where I'm at because this is where I feel comfortable. And yes, I can have my pizza and my chocolate and it doesn't bother me. Interestingly enough, I really just wake up every day knowing that it's going to be the same because that's what it is. But some people need a little bit more help even when they've reached that comfort zone level of where they're at. So I would imagine you're there for them.
Oh, absolutely. I develop a relationship with them and I tell them I'm always there. They can call me, email me, let me know what's going on. I do not want them reverting back to their old habits. I do not want them to make me look bad because they regained the weight. So I focus on them having their success, and more often than not, the people, once they reach it and they have had a new lifestyle, they're enjoying their new eating habits. They're enjoying their new lifestyle. So they really don't want to go back to the old ways of doing it. Like you said, you get to a point where you don't miss a lot of things that were bad for you. Fruit tastes sweeter. It doesn't taste bitter or sour. Unfortunately, kids today, they have so much of the processed food and highly manufactured foods that they don't know what fresh fruits and vegetables really taste like because their taste buds have been desensitized.
Okay, I have to say this. Let's see, I am 59, so I grew up with chips and I grew up with chocolate bars. But my mother, her cooking was always fresh. She did not choose to do the cans. And I have to say this really quickly. At one point, I was so pissed off because all my friends were having Chef Boyardee in the can. And so I got mad and I said, Mom, I want one. I want one. I was actually a really nice child, but every now and again I got adamant about something. She fed me that H Boyardee, and no disrespect to the company, but I couldn't finish it because my mother's fresh cooking was so wonderful. The only thing is that it was so good that, you just wanted to eat second and third portions of it, which is probably why I ended up having a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Like going back to the mummy place, right?
Yeah.
But we grew up with the pop and all of that stuff. That is something I feel like I do still drink some pop, but I don't drink it often. Water I have a hard time with, and speak to this one too. There's a lot of people, my father being one of them too. Water's not our favorite thing. It's blah. So how would you suggest that somebody gets their water while, getting over the feeling that it is blah? Like there's people like me and my dad that feel that way. So, some days I can drink 2-3 liters of it. The next day I'm going, oh gosh, I can't, water's too boring.
Well, you can spice it up a little bit with, fresh cucumbers, watermelon, cantaloupe, berries. When you go to resorts, they always have the water jug full of water with different fruits and vegetables in it because it's a treat. Well, why not treat yourself every day to the water? Plus, you're getting the nutrients from the vegetables and the berries and the fruit being in there that is being absorbed by the water. So it makes it taste better. Add some lemon juice to it. Pineapple is great to throw, get a gallon jug of water and throw, fresh oranges or pineapple. Like I said, cucumber is excellent. Watermelon gives a great flavor. So that's one way to do it. And, I'm 66 and I grew up, McDonald's to us was a treat. It was once a week, once every 2 weeks, if we were lucky. And we couldn't afford the soda, the Coke and the Pepsi. So we drank water and once in a while Kool-Aid. Again, my mom cooked like your mom, so everything was fresh and it was a treat. Nowadays, people can go to McDonald's every day, 3 or 4 times a day, and that's what kids are being fed. It's not a treat anymore. It's normal. And that's why so many kids are overweight and they're starting early and there's so much impact. And what people don't realize is a lot of the food we're putting in, again, I call it edible products. If it's highly processed or manufactured, uh, it accumulates in your body. So it's toxic and it's poison. However, we don't realize it because it doesn't have an immediate effect. But after 10, 20, 30 years, that's when everything starts showing up for what we're doing to our bodies. And that's why there's an increase in type 2 diabetes, an increase in heart attacks and strokes. And a lot of this is preventable. Before COVID, 72% of people that were in the hospitals were there because of food-related issues. So again, people could avoid going to the hospital if they watch what they put into their bodies. Our bodies are incredible machines, and we have to think of food as fuel for it. So we want to give it the best fuel possible. And you have to read the labels. The food manufacturers are great at marketing, and they'll put things on the front of the labels to make it appear that, you know, their product is healthy for you, when in reality it's not. So read the ingredients and learn to see what is actually being put into your body.
Well, there's an interesting thing. Can you actually read the ingredients? Like half
But
of them are like you can't read them.
that's why they put in such small, fine print.
Yeah.
And yet they make the print larger for the calories, the sugars, the sodium, the protein, and other things, which is important, don't get me wrong. The ingredients are the most important things. And an example I use is a box of spaghetti. It'll say 0 grams of fat, you know, this much protein, 0 sugars, 0 sodium. And you think, oh, this is healthy. Well, what they don't put on it is that it's 46 grams of carbohydrates, and it's a simple carbohydrate, not a complex carbohydrate. Simple carbohydrates are not good for you. Complex carbohydrates are. So there's a difference, and people look at the box and say, oh, it's got to be good for me. Or a can of tuna. It'll say packed in water. Great. You turn it over on the back, it'll say tuna, water, and vegetable broth. Well, what's in the vegetable broth? Well, they can put up to 168 different compounds in the vegetable broth and not disclose it. So I always look for the can of tuna that says water, tuna, maybe sea salt. And I get that, you know, at Costco. There's different brands they sell there. And chicken of the sea at Costco has water and tuna. You go to the store where we shop, the grocery stores, and chicken of the sea, same can, same everything, will say tuna, water, and vegetable broth. So I don't understand that. Again, you have to be careful what's in the food you're actually consuming.
That is really interesting. I didn't even know that. And I thought it was really cute when you said, under my watch, you're not going to gain more weight. It's just like your doctor who said to you, unless you lose weight, go find another doctor. It really
Well, I
matters.
was fortunate. Yeah, I
When
was very fortunate that he told me that, and that he was concerned enough. Most doctors nowadays don't have the time and inclination. They'll tell you lose weight and that's it. I met one doctor, I call him Randy, in Costa Rica, and he was telling me, well, first he was about 80 pounds overweight. He had just lost 100 pounds because he needed a hip replacement, and his orthopedic surgeon friend wouldn't do it until he lost the weight. And he did, and he's still overweight. However, he was bragging that his average patient was 300 to 400 pounds. And I found that alarming, that he would feel that's something to boast about. And Randy was saying, well, you know, when you reach my age, it's not always about the money, it's enjoying life. And I said, I understand. And he goes, what do you mean you understand? I said, we're about the same age. He goes, no, we're not. And Randy said he was 59. At the time I was 63. And I said, I'm 63. And he looked at me and walked away. And that was the last I saw of him. So, you know, we got to be careful of the medical profession. The other thing is, I love the medical profession, don't get me wrong. However, 62% of nurses are overweight.
Oh, wow.
And they're the ones that are supposed to be providing healthcare and giving you information on how to care for your body. So, you know, Robert Kiyosaki has a bit of advice. He says, be careful taking advice from people more messed up than you.
This is very true. I love it. I love the book. I love the design on the book. I mean, our listeners can't see it, but please tell them where they can find it. It has diet with like basically a little thing tied up in it. So it's like you're anti-diet. That was where I did find you. I'm so pleased that you responded to my request to have you on this show. Like I said, I was so into diets, and now today I refuse to have anyone. If I want a glass of milk, I have a glass of milk. Granted, yes, like you were saying, I eat healthy because it's my choice, because I enjoy it. But if I feel like having, McDonald's, fun fact though, is if I try and eat a Big Mac these days, I have to cut it in half. I can't eat the whole thing anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not anti-fast food. I mean, when we're traveling, my wife and I, every once in a while, we'll stop at McDonald's, and there's just certain things I'll order off the menu, and it's not the salad. Um, I usually get a breakfast sandwich, without the cheese and without the ham, just basically the egg. And I like bacon. Bacon, people argue with bacon is unhealthy. Some will say it's healthy. I enjoy bacon, so I eat bacon.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell people is, look, find what you like and enjoy and focus on that, because what you focus on expands. So instead of looking, to say, oh, I'm not able to have the candy bar or this or that, focus on the apple that you're going to enjoy, or the pear, or the orange. And speaking of oranges, orange juice is the worst thing you can drink because it's
Really?
all
Oh,
sugar.
acidic.
Well, that, and it's all sugar. They take the fiber out. Even if they add fiber back in the pulp, it's not enough. It takes 4 to 8 medium oranges to make a glass of orange juice. Now, most people wouldn't eat 4 to 8 oranges at one sitting. So, eat the whole orange. It's better for you. It's healthier for you. Avocados are great. I love just cutting it open, taking the pit out, just eating it with a spoon.
Yep.
So again, enjoy the food for the flavors that it has. So many people are used to spicing it up with, different sauce, not even sauces, just, ranch and
Yeah.
blue cheese and barbecue sauce and mustard and all this stuff. And one thing you need to do is also avoid ketchup. Ketchup is 60% sugar.
Yeah.
So again, read labels. When you see, I had one client, he was type 2 diabetic, and he just got out of the hospital for his diabetes. And we were at a restaurant, a networking group, and he ordered a hamburger, fries, and a coffee. He's loading up the fries and the hamburger with ketchup. I said, "You're type 2 diabetic?" "Yeah." "You're supposed to be out of the hospital for that?" "Yeah." "Why are you eating ketchup? What's wrong with ketchup?" "Well, look at the label. It's 60% sugar." He goes, "I didn't know that." And I said, that artificial creamer you just put in is loaded with artificial sweeteners. It's bad for you. It's bad. He says, "I didn't know that either." So, it's what we don't know that's hurting us. And so the book goes into a lot of information, and everybody's different. Some people like beef, some don't. Some like chicken, some don't. Some like fish, some don't. Some want eggs, some don't. Some drink dairy, some don't. It's personal preference. So it's not one size fits all. The other thing is, Dan Buettner wrote The Blue Zones, and his other book is Kitchen of the Blue Zone. The people in the blue zones, for people who don't know, are 5 geographical areas in the world where people live to 90, 100, or longer. They have a lot of longevity. However, they're healthy. They're physically active. And it's not just what they eat, it's their lifestyle. They eat together in groups so they don't eat alone. They are physically active. The other fascinating thing I found about it is, in all these blue zones, most of them have 25 ingredients or less for all the food that they consume. So when you think about that, 25 ingredients is not a whole lot when you compare to what we're exposed to and what we have available.
That's really interesting. I've learned so much today with you, David. Thank you. Can you please let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can find your book?
Sure, appreciate that. They can get the book at Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or go to the library and ask the library to order a copy, and that way they can read it for free. They can get it at breakthedietchains.com. So that's breakthedietchains.com. They can also find me on Facebook. My name is David Medansky, and last name is spelled Medansky, like 3 words, me, Dan, and Sky.
Perfect.
And I'm also on LinkedIn and Instagram. and they can reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer questions and emails, when people, ask me.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate your time again. I think this is important. Again, going back to people who are struggling with bulimia, I do understand there are certain things sometimes at the beginning that you're going to want to, like you were talking about, David, take out of you, it was the M&Ms. Eventually you'll be able to go to them. Like I said, I cut things out too. And today, 12 years later, I really don't have an issue with anything. I can have the stuff around, but like you said, it takes time. And that's what people have to learn, is that just don't be rushing into it. Don't feel bad about yourself. Like you were saying, be good to yourself, be kind to yourself. I love that you're saying all of that. And,
Well,
and
the other thing
again,
is,
people reach out to David if you're, looking at that, whether it's not just being overweight, because I do find bulimics and people who are overeaters are very, very close. Me personally, this is my opinion, I have a harder time dealing with understanding anorexics who starve themselves, because I love food too much. And so that's where my bulimia became bulimic instead of that, and yet hiding behind really what was an overeater, which really is what it comes down to through my purging.
the other thing is, just because a person is thin doesn't mean they're healthy.
True that
So
too.
you can't judge a person by what's on the outside. You need to see what's on the inside going on. And one way you can control eating a lot of food is to eat slower and make it a game of how slow you can eat. Because when it takes you longer to eat your food, you're eating less. So, like with nuts, I tell people count out 10 almonds and make a game how slow you can eat them.
I'm sure that David, that the slower you eat, the more likely you're going to hit that full point. Because people who are overeaters or bingers, quite often they supersede it. Like you're eating so fast that you go past that, full zone, and then 20 minutes later you're going, ugh.
Yeah, and that's what I call the mindless eating, where you're watching TV or you're at a movie and you're eating the food, or you're working at your computer, your desk, and you look, where did the food go? And you didn't realize you ate it all. And with buffets, where it's all you can eat, just because it's all you can eat doesn't mean you have to eat it all. So, when my wife and I go to restaurants, it's funny because we'll leave about half of our food. Sometimes we take to go, sometimes we don't. And the servers are always like, is everything okay? Oh yeah, we're just lightweights. We just don't eat a lot. And we'll see people, packing in all this stuff, and it's like, whoa, how can they do that? And I guess that's what they're used to. So again,
and it's
little
not
things.
to insult, it's what you're saying. Like the waitress will come along, oh, is everything okay? You didn't eat everything, and they're worried that the restaurant hasn't done, or the cook hasn't done it proper. I'm like you, I feel bad. No, it was wonderful. I'm full. I'm like,
The other thing is, I play a little game where I get water with lemon and no ice. And I see how fast I can drink the glass of water before the server will come back, and I'll say, there was a hole in my glass. Because then they refill it. And so I'll usually have 2 or 3 glasses of water before the meal comes, and that fills you up. So you're not eating as much. And that's one way to avoid eating a lot of food too.
that, and it hydrates you. That's perfect.
It's a
Again,
win-win.
thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Lorianne. Appreciate being a guest.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode. Be sure to visit me at bleepbulimia.com.